Hello and welcome to another episode of the Embodied Union podcast. I'm Lindsay.
I'm Charlie.
And today we're going to be talking about Eros.
Yes.
And I think why couples struggle with it.
So what is it? Let's start with the definition in case they're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, well, I think too, like Eros to me is sexual life force energy. And so it can either be just like your general life force energy is your Eros, is your being. But I think in this context that we're going to talk about today, we are going to sort of name it as the sexual energy.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between life force energy and erotic life force energy. So we are specifically speaking about erotic life force energy. And even just saying that, I'm like, maybe there isn't a difference, like maybe all life force is erotic. It's just how we perceive it in our own system and how we utilize it. Maybe life force, it just is innately erotic. And some people are just more able to tap into that. I don't know, it's very interesting.
Yeah, because I see it as like, you kind of, in my experience, I can really tell when someone's tapped into their erotic energy or their life force energy. It's like,
what does it look like?
They have a spark. They have a spark about them. They seem younger. They seem more playful. It's not even that they're flirty necessarily, but you can just see that they're full of sass or spunk or whatever it is that they've got going on.
It's like a radiance or a magnetism. It's vitality. Yeah, it's definitely an energy you can see and feel in other people. And when you're feeling it inside of yourself as well, you feel alive. Yeah, I have so much more to say. I speak really fast.
No, I just think, that experience, of most people probably experiencing that real surge of Eros through their system when they first discover love or they discover pleasure or they're in a new relationship and they have that new energy of getting to know and the excitement.
Yeah, I think that's worth naming because I think the best way we can give you an example of Eros that I would 99% say you have touched and tasted is the erotic current of energy that you feel in your body when you meet somebody new that you are romantically interested in.
Ooh.
And I just feel like that's very collective. Everybody knows what it's like to oh, did he just touch my hand? And everything is so lit up, I could be next to you and it's just, I can feel your energy. It's just, there's an openness, a receptivity. There's more sensitivity. And that is there. It seems to be there so effortlessly in the beginning of a relationship. And the conversation we were having is, why does that seem to die for most couples who enter into a long-term, committed, safe, beautiful relationship? There is a pattern of Eros dwindling, fading, dying completely. Not for everybody, but it's definitely collective.
Yeah, well, to me it kind of speaks to the skill of relationship where people can potentially lack the cultivation of Eros and life force energy, and they give to the relationship and it's taking something and not revitalizing. It's not like a regenerative farm. It's a monocropping kind of style where it depletes the soil, the fertile ground. I see that for a lot of couples where they're sort of giving into the relationship and the stuff is building, not good either.
So what I hear you say is, because people don't have the skills of relationship, whether that be self-revealing or repair or communication, all of that we teach, that then becomes blocks to the Eros. Because when you first have a relationship, there's you plus me without history. There's no accumulation of baggage. So that's potentially one of the reasons why Eros can flow more freely. And then because, say, we didn't have the skills of relationship over time, we're accumulating baggage and blocks, which makes it harder to tap into Eros because the safety, trust, respect has started to, it's lost, the integrity is impacted.
And the cleaning the glass, right? The glass becomes murky and we don't have the intimacy, we don't have the clarity, we can't see each other. And I think so often a good sign of that is someone that feels like they don't have a lot of Eros running through them, they're in a long relationship and they start to feel energy outside of the relationship, or they cheat or they do something, and all of a sudden they're alive, and this other person is like bringing them all this newness, and it feels so much better. And we've spoken about this in the podcast too, just like why people cheat and the drive of Eros and what they feel inside of themselves. So one, that Eros is always there. It's just, are you tapped into it? It's the same thing with, I believe, like say with psychedelic drugs or peak states of experience, is that they're available to us. It's just, are we cultivating it? Are we in the right environment? Are we eliciting that in ourselves? So is my life turning me on enough that I'm bringing that to the relationship and not just taking Eros? Because I sort of see this as I'll speak for men in this, is I believe I've thought or a felt sense that men come to their partner for connection and come to their partner to sort of take from the well of Eros. It's almost like, I need your Eros to fill my Eros. And I think that if men don't know how to cultivate their own life force energy and their own experience, that's when the neediness comes and the taking comes from. It's like, yeah, if we cultivate a well of Eros together in this relationship, and I'm just taking from it and not life-giving to it, then it becomes something that depletes. It's something that degrades over time, is my sort of thought around it, is my
So can you speak into what are some really practical, tangible ways as a man you can tap into your own Eros and how you bring it to a relationship?
I think the best ways that I've sort of seen it for me is practicing semen retention is one of them. Like, they're all really basic things, to be honest. It's semen retention, it's having a presence practice, whether it's meditation, mindfulness, whatever connects me to my body, living my life to my values. So me being full in my own life, such that I'm not needing sex or intimacy to make myself feel better, so to speak. I'm not using it. I'm experiencing it with you. And then the big piece that I think that sort of flows through all of this is like a presence piece for men, is like, how present can we be in our own life and with ourselves, such that my presence creates capacity for me to be like, bringing you energy and bringing our Eros together.
And practically, how would you, like, if a man was sitting in front of you right now, asking you, tell me how to bring that to my woman?
Yeah, okay. The presence practice is obviously meditation. So finding your own style of meditation practice, I think, is probably one of the best ways. And again, knowing what your values are, which is what I just said then, is...
No, but I meant, but like, that's how you find your Eros, but how do you bring it to me? Like, you knowing your values, that's how you ignite your own life force for you. But if we were to be connecting intimately, how do you intentionally bring your Eros forward? Like, I hear the word presence, so that sounds like it's going to be a pivotal piece, but is there anything else, like, quite practical or tangible that you say, like, I want to bring Charlotte my Eros? This is how I do this.
Yeah. Okay. Well, one of the things that I do is I definitely bring you things like my presence as far as like eye contact or playfulness, or, in your words, only a few men can growl like that.
It's very true. Not all men can pull off the growl into the neck, honestly. I think you do a very good job of that.
So it's, there's things around that brings like a primal energy. That's why I'm always encouraging men to do men's work and get out into nature and do something physical or that sort of thing, to cultivate their own like inner spirit, their inner wild man, like we need that. Because, to be honest, I believe that women's Eros is bigger than men's, and it's also like more psychological. It needs to be brought with intensity and passion and care. So another practical way that I would do it is I also lead a practice or lead something. So I am forthright or forthcoming when it comes to Eros and engaging in something with you. I think that's really important for me to know. It's like, you're not going to engage. I'm not going to wait for you to do that. You're way more receptive to my, engagement when it comes to intimacy.
That's good though. It's really practical. It's like you bring your presence, you bring primal energy, and what was the one that you just said? Presence, primal energy. I also think it's deeper than presence. There's a level of attunement that is also happening. Like, you can kind of be present with me, but what I notice is helpful, just even for my own Eros, is feeling it's deeper than you just being present in the room with me. Like, you're actually reading the cue, you're attuned to my body. So what I mean by that is I feel safe in your hands, because if you touch me somewhere and it's a no, you feel the subtle contraction and you read the room. Like, you can really read the room. So if I feel like your presence allows you to be available for what's happening in your own body, because your own body is reading my body.
Correct.
And that attunement that you bring, it's deeper than presence. But it does something for my system. And like, there'll be times where I feel like you're not attuned to something, and I feel my subtle sensitivity kind of like, oh, you're not listening. And so that attunement, I feel, is a really important piece of what you bring.
Is there anything else that I bring that I'm not aware of?
Again, the attunement piece, because I've always admired you for this, the way, and I think it's because you're a jiu-jitsu person and like you have great body awareness. So you'll know to move my hair out from where it's about to get stuck before it gets stuck and pulls in an uncomfortable way. Or you'll be doing something up here with my hair or my head, but at the same time you're kind of down touching my ankle. And I'm like, how are you just kind of like, or like my back will arch and your hand's already there underneath. It's kind of like a dance. Like, I feel like your attunement, your movements and your touch, it's like you're reading the dance that my body is doing. Yeah, it's interesting because I think that, yes, you bring leadership and initiation, but I think the feminine really leads once we get into the dance that we're having.
Definitely.
And I'm leading and you're following the cues of my body, and that's your attunement.
Yes.
And the more that I feel like you're in sync with that, the safer I feel and the more I can come out of my head, because I'm like, oh, you're really with me. So when we have times, and it's totally normal to have these times as well, where I'm like, oh, we're not quite in the dance, then like I can feel a bit of contraction or shut down. But like, you are very good at being attuned. So I think that's a really important part of it.
Thanks, sweetheart.
Does that land? Does that make sense? Can you speak into that? Because I can speak about my experience, and I'm sure women are like, oh my God, yes. But for a man who might be listening, who wants to know how you do that, I guess it's probably not very practical because it's a sense. Like, you're a Hakomi therapist, you're a somatic therapist, you do jiu-jitsu, so you have this innate sensitivity to the body, I think. But is there anything that you're kind of listening or watching? Or?
Yeah, I think you're right. So yeah, speaking to that, it's kind of like knowing probably what feels good and how your body wants to move or likes to move. It's, you know, like if I think about a woman's pleasure that's in her spine, then it's knowing that there's certain spots on the body that are very sensitive or are receptive to pleasure in different ways. It's like arching a back. Well, that's easy. If I arch your back, if I put a hand underneath your back and I arch your back, then I also know that your chest is going to be a little bit exposed. So it might be a touch of that at the same time. Or, yeah, it's like how I know that your body probably wants to move. So I think it's sort of leading that and also reading it.
Can I just jump in there?
Yeah.
Because I I kind of disagree. Like, it's like, I think that you have a level of such competency in attunement that you unconsciously are following me. Like, I don't think you arch my back. I think my body goes to arch, and it's like your hand miraculously comes in with this contact
Support.
and then the other hand is on my chest. It's like you are reading the micro movements, but I honestly think I'm leading, because if you try to arch my back because you thought it might feel good, it could be wrong, you know? Like, normally, like, yes, that tends to feel good, but I don't think that you are trying things on. I really feel like you're reading me. Well, that's what it feels like. I'm like, I am in this movement that feels like it's coming from me, and you are there, like, with the support moment to moment. And you might do things like, yeah, your hand will come under for contact, and then your hand, you lead yourself to put your hand on my heart, which that's you kind of knowing intuitively, well, her heart is open. It honestly is a dance.
It is. If you say it
so
like
there
that.
are moments of like me leading, you following, but then you seeing the opening, because you are like, there's a pleasure spot right there between her breasts, you know, the heart is open.
Yeah. I think, that's really cool, actually. I like that. I think, and that's the thing, it's just like, I'm not 100% sure of what I'm doing.
I think that you are unconsciously very competent, that it's like, that's what I mean when I'm like, give the men something practical. I think it's hard to put into words because you're reading energy. It's subtle. So what I think is the most practical piece of advice for the masculine is to be cultivating a presence practice.
Yeah. And probably dance lessons by the sounds of that. It's like,
I think that would be really helpful.
Go and learn how to do bachata or zouk or something like that. Some type of like sensual dance or partnered dance where you're kind of leading, but you're making the woman look good. Because that's what I think too. It's like, I'm visual, so you moving and looking amazing. It's like, I want to be around that. I want to dance.
I want to dance. I honestly do. Any couple who want to kind of lead or lean into leading, following this, like, dance is a really great practice out of the bedroom to do this.
Shibari.
Well, I think Shibari is interesting because we were speaking before around like, so I have a desire. Well, let's speak about women's Eros.
Correct.
First. So.
And the history of that.
Well, yeah, and like this is just kind of our conversation and intuitive thoughts. But I believe that women's Eros is bigger than men's. I actually think that it is bigger, darker, kinkier, like just, and we're so conditioned to think men want more sex and men are the ones that would cheat and men just, but what I think has happened is that women's Eros used to be so big. It is so big, but it was so big and it was so powerful that it became like a threat. And I'm talking like way, 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 way back. And like women started being burned, you know, for being witches, and women were shamed, and like calling a woman a slut is so different to calling a man a slut, you know, like women, their Eros has been so made wrong and squashed down and just reduced to nothing. And this is so long ago that I think the woman today doesn't even feel connected to her Eros, you know, because her mother probably didn't and her grandmother probably didn't, and the woman before that, like this goes so far back. So I think women have lost contact with their Eros, and when they meet somebody new relationship energy, there's something in that. There's a recipe in that is very like the excitement, the novelty, the mystery, the risk, because I don't know if you like me, I don't know if this is going to work out. Like there's something risky about it. And I think those qualities naturally inspire a woman's Eros. But as all of those things will fade, all of those qualities fade, as they do in long-term relationship, they can't not. You can't be a mystery to me anymore. Actually, I would argue that, but you know what I mean? It's like you become familiar. You become very safe. So those things that were like, ooh, suddenly they're not there. And it's so typical in long-term relationship that women's eros starts to dwindle and fade, and eventually it's just this showing up for sex out of obligation, and it feels like a chore. And I feel like partly this is because women don't know, they don't even know that eros is in there. They don't know how to access it out of honeymoon phase, new relationship energy. Her partner doesn't know about it either, and he doesn't know how to bring it out of her. So I think lots of couples are living in this mediocre experience of intimacy, and the relationship could still be really good. We could still have trust and safety and respect, and we're great parents together, and we're great teammates, and we have kindness, and we co-live well, and we have shared values, and that couple can still have dead zero intimacy because that woman is not tapped into her eros, and that man has no idea how to access that in her. And couples just settle for this. They settle and they think this is just the cost of long-term relationship. This is just the way that it goes. And I fucking refuse. I refuse for that to be true. I refuse for that to be my experience. I refuse for any woman that comes to work with me or couple that comes into our work to just to settle, because eros is life force. Like you said at the very beginning, a woman and a man who is connected to their eros, they are radiant, they are youthful, they're alive, they're excited, they're playful. When I'm tapped into eros, I don't care if Lindsay leaves a plate in the sink. But if I am not tapped into eros and I am feeling a little bit pleasure starved, you better believe I am pissed off that the kitchen bench is dirty, And yes, we get to have shared values around responsibility in the home and things, but it's just a woman who has access to her eros has so much more capacity and tolerance and patience and love, and is just relaxed and can let things go, and actually just doesn't care about the things that actually really don't matter.
So what do you see as a practice for women then?
The first thing is just understanding what I'm saying to you right now. Having this moment of oh yeah, I do know what it's like to feel turned on and in arousal and in desire. And why is that something that I am not accessing? You have to understand that that's a problem, and it's not because you are broken or long-term relationship doesn't work. It's just there is a eros inside of me, and I now need to take responsibility for it. So I'll speak, one of the experiences I had this for years, is I felt very low libido, no eros, didn't know how to access it, didn't really know what it was. And I really thought if I met the right man or woman, they would turn it on inside of me. They will bring me eros. I was waiting for somebody to come to me and give me that, rather than me learn how to cultivate it for myself. So I always recommend that, same as the masculine, a presence practice, but moving that presence, bringing that presence with you into a self-pleasure practice. And I'm not talking about masturbation with a toy set at level 5,000 and watching porn. I think that takes you out of your body. You want to have a practice of, doesn't even necessarily, you don't even have to penetrate yourself, but it's how can I use maybe music or breath or sounding to come into this glove that is my body and feel the sensations and see if I can find the pleasure that is there. Lots of my body was numb for years. I couldn't really feel my nipples or my breasts. I had lots of shutdown all over my body. So I'm I go in, I'm there's nothing there. I'm just numb. I'm numb. I feel nothing. I'm dead inside. But you need to attend to that. You have to attend to the layers of numbness and shutdown and freeze. And with enough presence, then that all kind of starts to thaw, and you can start to access what is underneath. And for a woman, it's very subtle, and the subtle can be really big, but it's not in the hard and fast, friction-based kind of movements you find in sex or even self-pleasure. It's really in you can be in a state of orgasm, literally just through breathing into your heart. So you have to work with the layers that are on top. You have to have enough sensitivity and mindfulness and presence and willingness to practice this. But I think it starts there, in the woman's own practice. and then having the courage to bring that forward to her partner. You know, I think a lot of couples have to be brave and say, I love you, but what we're doing isn't working for me. And I think so many couples are terrified of that conversation. I think I'm so worried that I'm going to hurt your feelings and that you're going to feel rejected and less of a man. So I'll say nothing and I'll just deal with it. And
Deal with shit sex too. Like, that's what I was saying earlier. I was like, often it's the fear, guilt, and shame that gets in the way. So many couples are probably both underfucked and you know, not feeling the eros inside of themselves or their partner because they don't want to rock the boat. They don't want to turn the apple cart over. Like they said, everything's good. It's okay. Like, you know, it's all right.
I also think we're not giving our men enough credit, you know, like if I thought you were so precious that I couldn't say to you, babe, like, I love you. I'm not trying to break up with you. I love you, but I want to try something different and you can't handle that. It's like, it's a disservice. Like, I'm not giving you an opportunity to come and learn something with me. And like, if it does bring up something in your partner, like if you do take that personally, like, of course I can say it with kindness and care and compassion, but that is also yours to deal with. You know, that just shines a light on a wound.
And I think that is very collective of men, is they're terrified of sexual education. They're terrified of not being good already inherently in the bedroom. And it's just like, most men aren't. Most men haven't learnt the skills. It's like you don't get born with those skills. You're not having those conversations. Like, you're not doing the study. It's the same in business. You don't think you're just going to be good in business instantly. It's like it takes lots of failure and lots of trying and lots of figuring it out. I think men try and get the scoreboard up or make their partner come, and there's just so much pressure on the woman to orgasm or to get it somewhere or for him to do the same thing. Or I just think a lot of sex lacks a lot of intimacy and a lot of like genuine eros.
Yes, because like it can be very mechanical, and like men can be very mechanical and still reach their climax, whereas women can't reach their climax. Oh, some women can, but like the masculine is mechanical, the woman is in performance, and ultimately both are left starved, which is why the man is like, I need more, I need more, I need more, because it didn't quite scratch the itch, and the woman is like, fucking get away from me, get away from me, get away from me. But I think a really good reality check for people is, because I don't believe that women have low libidos, and I don't think anyone has a low libido, and there can be health things that are in the way, so I don't want to just completely say it's a you thing. There can be health factors, but if you are in relationship and you are struggling with mismatch in libido, or you feel like your partner doesn't really want it, it's probably because it's not up to scratch, and that is not something to feel ashamed about. It's just something to realize that there is a gap here in what we're doing, and there's an opportunity to learn something. And there is no shame in that, because we are not taught this. Like I said, I think Eros in women has been completely shamed and shut down, but like, we don't even know how to access it. How are you supposed to know if we don't even know? So it's both needing to be willing to come and learn about this, which actually is your birthright and innate and easy once you wade through like what might be in the way.
It's beyond the performance, I guess, is what I'm sort of...
It's not performance at all.
Yeah, so like, you know, you have the new relationship energy, the conflict phase, and you get into the re-enchantment and the nakedness part of relationship, where we really do sit down together and not necessarily just make a plan, but like really like open up to it as far as, you know, what am I actually desiring, and am I also living the life that cultivates eros inside of me? Like, am I the fertile ground of my own eros as well? Am I doing the things that light me up? And am I stoking my own fire, so to speak? And then bringing that to the relationship, not just, as I said earlier, I get the sense for men just wanting to withdraw that energy. And I think for so many women that are overworked, overstressed, overburdened, giving to everyone else, it's just another chore a lot of the time for sex and for intimacies, because they're not given the space to grow and generate their own eros. It's like some guys are like, what should I do? It's like, man, give her some space to be in the wanting. For a lot of women, it's almost like the wanting is better than the having most of the time. So it's like, give her enough space to cultivate it.
I also would just say, like, I know that the wanting is better than the having can be true, especially for somebody who potentially is more energetic and really like gets off on anticipation. But I would also say that the having is probably not that good if the wanting is better than the having, you know? And I think that's a reality check for people as well. You know, it's just like, because the having can be, the having can be better than the wanting if the having is up to standard. So I think there's lots of things that you can be doing as individuals. It's having those brave conversations. It's willing to say, hey, this isn't working for me. And if your partner's the one saying that to you, it's like, and I'm very sensitive to this. Like if in our relationship, any times Lindsay has brought to me, hey, I'm just noticing like it seems like we're having less intimacy because I have like my whole life I have felt pressure around sex, definitely just my relationships, but also the industry I was in. Felt like my body was always taken from and I have to perform. So when he would try and have very maturely as well, you bring it to me beautifully, babe, I'm noticing that the intimacy, it would immediately shut my heart and I would contract. And like, that's for me, that was mine to like work with so I can give Lindsay freedom to bring his truth to me because he was never rude about it, but it activated something in me. So that was my piece to work on so we could have the courageous conversations.
Yeah.
I also want to speak into how kinky I think women are.
Let's do that because I think you're right.
I think there's also this collective belief that men are kinkier, you know, like men are kinkier, and I just don't, I don't believe it for a second. I think a lot of women also struggle to access their eros and their turn on and their arousal because they haven't tapped into the dark side of their eros. I think that women they like it to be a bit risky or to feel a bit dangerous and like not really dangerous because you need the safety of relationship, but when you can play in the energy of like, I don't know, like for me, there's something about the forbidden, you know, like the forbidden, like you shouldn't, like it's a naughty thing. You shouldn't want to do that. It's like that accesses something in me. And we were just talking about it before. Because we're in this beautiful relationship, I don't believe there's anything that we shouldn't do. So when Lindsay would say to me, babe, you shouldn't, I'm like, it doesn't land because we're together, we can do anything. But there's something for me around. So if I want to access this with Lindsay, it would look more like a role play or bringing in different kind of dominant and submissive energies or taking on like different roles and characters and being in play, because then it can be, oh, we shouldn't be doing this, you know? And so that is just one of the ways I know. And like, to be honest, I feel like I have cracked open the door to the Pandora's box of kink and dark eros, but I feel myself like really like pulled to it and something that we are both really like open to, like you're really open to exploring this with me.
Yeah, and that's the thing for me. It's not something that I feel like, oh, I don't have the skills for or I have shame about. It's more like I never want to yuck anyone's yum. It's more like, what's possible? What would I learn here? I'm such a learner that it's like, oh, you're into that? I don't even know if I'm into that. So I'm always like an open book to something like that.
And I think that's the best attitude to have, you know, because if you see intimacy as play, like we're just playing. And if we don't, we play a game and one of us doesn't like the game, it's like, cool, we learn something there and we pivot somewhere else. But like when you bring innocence and play and curiosity, then it's just like, there's more willingness to explore these avenues. And I think for a lot of people, a block to Eros is also shame. They might have shame around, like the fantasy that they have and they can't bring that to their partner, or maybe it's so wrong, or I don't know, like, and that kind of shuts off a part of them. So I think all women have this dark side to them, and it will look different for everyone, but like maybe you want to feel your partner's like dominance, you know, like, and that can be just through his eye contact. And then for other women, it is like shibari and being tied, or like
being chased through the forest, or
hand on the throat, or like being spanked. It's like you don't have to. BDSM is there's so much range inside of it. Like I actually don't like any pain. I don't want to be inflicted pain at all. But like there's still some pleasure that I find in like pressure or getting towards the edge of pain. Whereas some people like want to be hurt, and I'm like, I don't get that at all.
And again, you know, if you're able to explore that with your partner to check it out, then why wouldn't you give it a go? You know?
And I think people don't because of their shame and their fear and their, I don't know what I'm doing, or I feel silly, you know, like even something like role play, you know, I feel like that to me, it's like, oh, can I really maintain a character without like laughing or breaking? But like,
you'd get in trouble if you did.
But then I get to give myself permission. It's like, if I can't take it too seriously, like who actually cares? You know, I think that's some of the reasons why a woman maybe won't give her partner a lap dance. It's like, I don't know how to dance. I don't know how to do that. But it's never really about the skill. It's more about the energy you bring, and like
bring your Eros.
Playful curiosity. And like laughing in the bedroom, you know, like laughing is cathartic. So it's like a movement of energy. If you're feeling awkward or uncomfortable, have a laugh about it. And like name like, this is actually feeling, like this is what I'm feeling. Can we take a pause? But it's just like, yeah, I don't know. I really, and the more I speak to women about this, the more I see it as being collective, that women have this really kinky side that they feel like they don't know how to explore, that their partner doesn't really know how to tap into. And I think there's a big like possibility here for more Eros in relationship, in long-term committed relationship.
Well, yeah, I think it's almost like a form of shadow work in a way, because you're opening up the psyche. And I think the part that you're saying earlier around women having a bigger Eros or deeper or more broad, I think you're right, is, you know, they're more mental when it comes to, or it's more psychological. Like pleasure and Eros is more of a psychological thing as well. So us men are very physical and visual, I believe, and then women are very psychological. So kink is huge when it comes to that.
Yes.
It's much about the psychology.
Well, like for me, the forbidden, that is a completely mental experience that I bring. Like if we're having intimacy and my head is not like, it's not true 100% of the time, because I don't always need to be in some forbidden fantasy, like enough presence and attunement, and that can just really elicit Eros without there being any kind of story or kink involved. But I do see like the more that my head, if I want to get my head involved and it's in this like fantasy story, forbidden, risky, whatever it is, like that, it's so psychological and it can amplify arousal. I really want to make that distinction. It's like,
I think that's a good point.
Because there's definitely so much pleasure to be accessed without kink and BDSM and fantasy. You know, these are different, they're different pathways, the different roads to take. When a woman's like, I can't access my Eros, these are the things that we explore, you know. It's like, how is your self-pleasure practice? Let's look at that. What is it like with you and your partner and the presence you bring to one another? And like, are you bringing that level of, like, you can access so much bliss through like peace and like just eye contact. And it's like, okay, we check that out. But then it's like, have you explored the dark side? Because it's a Pandora's box, and it gets to be, you get to have range. And I think that is important for women, because I do think women need a little bit of excitement and novelty. So how do you create novelty in a relationship that's so consistent and safe and familiar? It's by having the range and being like, we can play over here, we can play over here. What do you feel like?
I agree. And I think men could probably be taking more risks like that when it comes to leading our woman's Eros and around her, you know, like her sexual capacity as well. And again, us as men having our own presence, I think Christian Bale talked about that recently, or Chris Bale.
Chris Bell.
Yeah, Chris Bale around that, like a man's presence is her numbness, or is it something along
A
those?
man's distraction
That's
is
right.
her numbness, and I find this so true.
Yeah, so it was just like the antidote around that for us men is around having like really good presence and attunement with our partner to really like drive that, because in my experience, I don't need to ask for permission from Charlotte. It's about me reading the room and allowing it or driving it in a certain way, and then being really attuned to her, to how she responds to whatever I'm bringing, you know, and I think that makes all the difference.
I just want to add a piece around distraction, because I think a distracted man or a distracted woman, and by that I mean someone who spends a lot of time on social media or in screens or in scrolling, or just like they're distracted. That is a neurotically like dead person. And maybe not the whole time, but in that moment where there is distraction, there is like, that is as far away from like your life force and Eros as you can be.
Like a disassociated sort
Yeah,
of
a
person.
disassociated person is not in that moment an erotically alive person. You know, like whether even outside of screens or whatever, just if you're in your head, you know, like if we're together in intimacy and I feel like you are distracted, there's two possible things that's going on there. I might actually be distracted and I'm projecting that onto him, or he might actually be distracted, but either way I feel it. And it's like, you're with me, but where are you? And my body is so sensitive that it's like, it seems like you're here and I'm here and we're doing all the things, but the room is, the shop is closed, you know? And so that is, even if your head, like your body can be giving you cues, like registering things before your mind really knows what's going on. Like my body, I'll just feel it. I'll feel it. And again, I don't know whether it's I'm distracted or you're distracted, but like that level of distraction, like distraction just is itself, in itself, it does numb the Eros.
Yeah, and I think there's a skill around that. I don't know if it's really on topic, but I do want to speak to it. Is just noticing our own partner's numbness at times and knowing to take a break, knowing when to stop, like not continuing with whatever is happening at times. I think for men, there's the desire to like bring more to this situation, or, you know, more friction, more penetration, whatever it is, to try and amplify or intensify the situation, rather than actually realizing that it needs the whole thing needs to stop for a moment or for a period. Yes. Just to allow the reconnection, the redepth, the sensitivity to come back, everything to come back online again.
Yes.
And having that ability to know that stopping is okay, and it actually helps everyone.
Yeah, I want to really give permission to women, because in my experience is, if I was having sex and suddenly I felt like I'm a bit numb, I would just override that. It's like, let's just keep going because he'll finish soon, and then we can be done. Rather than realizing like my numbness is my body's no, but my no doesn't have to be no full stop. It's like, no, what we're doing now needs a break, but we can always come back around, or we might not. But like, to just keep, whether you're just feeling my no and continuing or me ignoring it, you are setting yourself up for like low libido in relationship, because that just creates like resentment in your own body. You know, if my body has the story that we just override numbness or maybe even discomfort, then that's how you create sex aversion. That's how I created sex aversion, you know? So it's just be willing to say, can we move? Can we stop? Can we breathe? Like I'll often give Lindsay the cue, can you be still with me? And we just move into stillness. And sometimes that is the end. And often it's not. It's just a moment. Like you said, regroup, come back together. Where are we right now? What's wanted? What's wanting to happen? Rather than our heads trying to force where we think we need to go, like a gender in sex is a bad idea. It's like, what does the body want and need, and how can we support that? And that is like, again, it's the attunement piece, and it's so beautiful.
Yeah. Is that everything for today?
Yeah, my question to anyone listening right now is, especially if you're in a relationship, is like, are you having the experience of one of you has low libido, one of you has high libido, there's like a mismatch in libido. Like if anything like that is going on, I would love for you to really self-reflect, and if you're brave enough and there's enough safety, like have the conversation around like, is this really working? And like, it's okay if it's not, you know, like this conversation can be such a big wake-up call for a couple who are just going through the motions. So like, be honest with you, be honest with your partner, and if you feel like, okay, we've just kind of exposed something and now we don't know what to do with that, you know where to find us, you know. I feel really passionate about this specific area of relationship right now. I think, I don't know, there's something that's happening with my pregnancy where my Eros has felt quite alive lately, and I'm just like...
Well, you're not ovulating,
and I'm
technically.
not ovulating, so it's just like, oh, there's something in me that feels quite energized right now and receptive and open, and I don't know, it just, that is making this conversation really like juicy and alive, and I just think that everyone should be having great sex regardless of how long you have been together. Don't settle.
Yeah, quality over quantity, I say.
Can we just, that also, what I have noticed, because I've been in a relationship where men, my partners, we've been having terrible sex, really. No fault on them, but because I'm not engaged, you know, and I'm overriding my no, but we're still doing the thing. So that has created more neediness in them. They wanted more, and...
That's such a trap, because you end up getting more, but it's not satisfying. So
no,
it's like this...
so they need more and more, and I'm getting more and more shut down. And like with Lindsay, like we're not having sex every day, you know, but when we do, the quality is nourishing and like satiating. Like I probably get a bit weird after a week and a half. Like, why don't you love me? But it's like, there's a quality here, so that, and I never feel neediness from you. I don't feel like you're there trying to like,
oh, hey.
just, oh, like every moment. And that creates more relaxation in my system. So like, know when the sex and the intimacy really is nourishing and connecting, it's satiating, and there's that neediness it kind of just chills out.
Well, just really zaps Eros, I believe.
Neediness,
Oh,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's such a pitfall. There's so many pitfalls when it comes to Eros. It's a sensitive thing, you know. So to me, it's just like, I really want to be... There's so much that can get in the way of Eros that I've learned to not trip myself up when there's nothing that I need to trip out about. So often it's just around like just coming back to the self and really trusting myself and us, and knowing that when it happens, it'll be the right time, and trusting that essentially, you know, and knowing how to cultivate that. So yeah.
Thank you, my lover.
Love you, sweetheart. If you want to get in contact with me, Lindsay B on Instagram's the easiest way.
I am Charlie S. Hannah.
Blowing up as usual. Sweetheart. All right.
We'll go see you in the next one.